What's up, party people? Skag man, the JDM man today, man. We got the 2005 Subaru in the shop. Finally gonna pull this engine, swap it out. It's got a rod knock. I'm not rebuilding it. Skag Deuce is ready for his car after 3 years. Actually, I bought this car for me because I had some ideas for a Subaru wagon. Honestly, he don't really care about any of all that. So today we're gonna start pulling this engine, get the coolant drain, accessories out of the way, and get this engine out. So we're gonna get started on that, and once we get it out, we'll get the new engine ordered, get it in. Because you know, when you order an engine, they only give you like a 90-day warranty. So I don't wanna have the engine here, then pull this one out, put this one in, then if I got issues, then that, you know, the clock's ticking once you get it. So anyway, we're gonna do that today on Skag's Garage. So this is not going to be a tutorial, but I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. Intake's coming off, battery's coming out, of course. Airbox is coming out. And what's kind of cool with these cars is that the power steering pump is here. So we take the airbox out. Once we drain the radiator, we'll pull that out. We'll pull the power steering pump off. We can lay that to the side so we don't have to drain the power steering. Same with the air condition. Pull this battery out. Once we get all the wiring off, fuel lines off, pull the air conditioning compressor, lay that over to the side. Then we just pull this out from the top. Now, another neat trick with these Subarus, which I just found out. Yep. If you disconnect the windshield washer hose, which I disconnected it there, you can take these hoods and push them all the way back, a la Mercedes style. Transmission fluid looks good. There we go. 2 fuel lines. I don't think we got any more ground, so just the motor mounts, the exhaust, the wiring harness. Oh, and the bolts to the transmission. Two heater hoses. Alright, so here's where we are. Got all the accessories off. Got the main wiring harness disconnected. Stuck the harness back over here. That includes the O2 sensors going down here. Next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull the intake off. Reason being is I got to use the intake on the EJ20, the 2 liter. So if you got an EJ25 and you go into from a 2.5 liter down to a 2.0 liter, you're going to have to remove the intake and put it on the 2 liter, because that won't work with the intake that's on the 2 liter won't work with the computer and everything for this car. So in order to pull the intake off, basically it's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts aside, so 8 bolts. Got to disconnect the crank sensor, which is down here, the cam sensor, let's see, oil pressure, and underneath there is one for the coolant. I already pulled my spark plugs out of the head, well, spark plug boots out of the head. Trying to think, is there anything else? Oh, I forget what you call this, but this goes down the cylinder head. It's not evap. Oh, there is a evap that goes from here down to the PCV, and so that and 8 bolts, it should come off. Plus that'll give me access to down behind here is where you access the bolts for the, the nuts for the torque converter. So there's a cover back here. You could get to it by pulling the throttle body off, but since I got to take the intake off, I'm just going to do that anyway. Then we'll raise it up in the air, we'll drain the oil out of it, disconnect the exhaust, get it back down, and get ready to pull the engine. Oh, also undo the nuts for the motor mount. So what hung me up was the coolant for the throttle body. It goes right here, which goes right here. That was this hose. Now I have this hose, which is return, either return or supply, one or two. Yeah, let's just take it off from down here. Pliers to free up that hose to get it spinning. If you just try and yank on it, it is not going to come off. Okay, intake manifold is out. What got me hung up was the coolant line going to the throttle body. This one, actually, I saw this one first, and the one that was going to the return, I saw that one second. So you got your exhaust gas recovery tube here that goes from the cylinder head up to the intake. Another thing you got to disconnect: water temp sensor, oil pressure sensor, crank position sensor, cam position sensor. And once I got the intake removed, I can see this is just a ground, because single wire ground connection. So doesn't matter. I'm going to remove these hoses. You got to keep your block, because the crank pulley that lives behind this cover, for the crank sensor, you got to move that over to the 2-liter, the EJ20, as well as this timing belt pulley, which has the teeth on it for this camshaft sensor, and a whole other while you're in there stuff. So might do a water pump. Well, we do a water pump, new timing belt, new tensioner. And so behind here, one of the reasons I just pulled this off is the bolts for the torque converter. So you'll spin the crank, get to your 4 bolts for the torque converter, and then I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 bolts down this side of the transmission for the starter. So that's 1, 2, then 3, 4 down at the bottom. And we'll undo this wishbone, raise the transmission up a little bit, and then we'll be ready to pull it. Once we drain the oil and disconnect the motor mounts, unbolt the motor mounts. So Skag, why are you draining the oil? I don't know, just in case I got to, and this is on tight. Flip the engine over for whatever reason, remove the oil pan. Who knows? What that bracket holds is just a little wire for the O2 sensor to keep it from getting, I guess, scrubbed or caught up with the CB axle. It helps if you remove all your bolts. One bolt sitting at the bottom, and I remember feeling it and just thought I got it, but I reckon not. Oh, so much easier. she is. I gotta take the flywheel off because that is going to be different on the EJ20 2.0 liter. I already told you about the crank sprocket that's in there and the cam sprockets on either side. So while I'm waiting, I'm gonna pull all this off and oh, let me get my motor mounts off too. So I'm gonna call that it for now.